Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls Brew.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies if you are someone who normally watches us live on Thursday evenings when we tape. We are doing this on Tuesday now. We will be doing this on Tuesdays moving forward. Wanted to mention that here at the top of the pod. You can catch us on Tuesdays. We haven't locked down the time yet, but you need to move from Thursdays to Tuesdays if you like watching our beautiful faces on Facebook, if you like checking out on this podcast later on YouTube, if you like watching us on Twitch. Tuesday night will be the night that we broadcast live. It will be the same cast of characters plus one. My crew is as follows: the executive producer of this podcast and a man who will host the second part of this show that we do this evening. He is Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
We are all go all the time. 1 PL lead. No. We're doing 3 in one day. Let's go.
Absolutely. Never can have too much wrestling. A man who has seen lots and lots of wrestling, but yet somehow calls himself a new fan. You can hear about that later in the second part of the podcast, but he was around when they didn't have face masks on their helmets, and that was his favorite football. It's the old man, Chris King. Chris, hello.
What is up? I'm hyped for this season. I got to say, I think we are starting with one of the worst divisions in football. Maybe right up there with the NFC South, if you can believe it. So let's get this garbage heap of a division out of the way.
Well, unfortunately, one of the worst divisions in all of football contains most of the people on this podcast's favorite team in some way, shape, or form, except for the man I'm about to bring in now. You heard Chris say it, football. Football is around the corner. Fantasy drafts are starting to be mocked out there in the world. People are thinking about depth charts. We are getting into OTAs. Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. Our national nightmare is finally over. To talk about all things football, he's our handicapper. We have him pick games every week, and he is starting his triumphant return to the podcast where we're going to preview division by division leading up to the regular season. He's our guy. We used to refer to him as the Anonymous Gambler. Now he's just Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? And even though we're not going to talk about the AFC North tonight, we will talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers based off of one of these teams here. So
nice. You can never get too far away from Aaron Rodgers. He likes to keep it that way, so we will commit to the way everyone else plays and plays by Aaron's rules and talks about him. But I have a quick question for you gentlemen off top here. I did something earlier this evening here before we started taping that I'm quite proud of myself, and I want to see what level I'm allowed to now call myself, all right? I noticed I had a problem happening with the old washing machine, which happens to just be over in the corner here of Morgan You Know Studios here in Mishawaka. And I had a bit of a leak, and I was able to determine that said leak was coming from my drain hose and not my intake hose there on the washing machine. Listen to me dropping huge terms. I'm already a legit handyman. Okay. I'm already a legit handyman. What do I decide to do, though? I got about a half a can of Flex Seal left out in the garage. So instead of replacing the tube, I pull the Flex Seal out of the garage, spray the tube all down with Flex Seal, and I'll be damned if it didn't plug that leak. So, gentlemen, I'm feeling pretty handy. I'm feeling pretty Schneidery, if I will. Let's go to the resident handyman on this podcast. Chris, can I officially call myself a handyman for fixing a leak in a washing machine drain tube with Flex Seal?
Rod, I love you, and I wish I could say, yes, you can call yourself a handyman, but unfortunately, no. Because let's be honest, you got lucky that you happen to pawn a leak on a hose that isn't ever under pressure and has free-flowing water. It doesn't stay under pressure. So the Flex Seal should work until that dirty, soapy water stops it from working, which will eventually happen, but not for a while.
All right, Jimmy, you've seen the Flex Seal commercial on TV. Like, they literally made a boat out of Flex Seal and were sailing it across the water. I mean, come on. I put 3, 4, 5 layers on that thing. It's got to hold for a while, no?
Well, like Chris said, you can have it hold for a while there. And also, Rod, that boat was on the water for probably less time than you've used yours right now. I mean, it's only been on there for a few minutes. So let's not get crazy there. I think you did a good stopgap for sure. But handyman, just go to Home Depot, spend the $4, get the extra hose. Now, installing it. There's some clamps involved there, Rod. You got to watch yourself.
You're not going to also be able to get it from Home Depot. You're going to have to get it from an appliance repair shop or like repairclinic.com.
See, Chris, you're absolutely right. Williams, the reason that I went to the flex seal, and I want you to tell me if this was smart thinking on my point of going to the flex seal and not going for a complete replacement job here, all right, is I noticed that I had a problem with the washing machine a little while back. Went to Home Depot, I believe exactly it was. No free ads here, but I believe it was Home Depot. Got what I thought was the right kind of drain tube for back there, put it on, and I had an even worse problem where water's coming and spraying out everywhere. So then I go get a clamp that I had left over from the pool in the backyard, right? Put that clamp on there, get the tube on tight, and I'm like, hey, I solved that problem. So, Williams, I didn't want to take that problem down, so I just went with the Flex Seal. That's a smart idea on my part, right?
Oh, yeah. Quick thinking. I mean, all this may sound super easy to Chris because it just comes naturally to him, but big props to you, right? You did better than I would have. So, let's go. We're off to a good start.
Doesn't even know what a washing machine is.
We've got a W already on the season. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. All right. So as I kind of mentioned there, we are going to go division by division here leading up to the NFL kickoff. Our last episode before the NFL season kicks off will be our big wins draft. All right. That is a tradition here on the podcast. We will draft all 32 teams in the NFL, and Williams will wipe the floor with us. That's what basically happens every year that we do this wins draft. Williams, are you coming into the year confident? How do you feel so far in your early season research?
I don't know. I don't know if anything could top it, how hot I was last year with the wins league. And that's how hot I was with the wins league was how cold I was with some of the ATS picks last year. So my question is to you guys. So are we going in reverse order from finishing position? So Chris would pick first, and then Jimmy would pick second, Rod pick third, I pick fourth.
Is this just a humble brag? Like, what's going on here?
I'm
just wondering.
If I'm getting preferential treatment because I was the worst last year, then I should be able to pick where I pick and not just automatically get the first pick. But
there's a problem. Chris just said something right there that we can't ever allow on this podcast, him getting preferential treatment. Like that's basically down in the mission statement against like the what we do here. I like that though. You know what I mean? Play upon the tradition of the fact that we've done this in the past and not just have Jimmy do a blind draw, because as we saw at the beginning of the SNL draft, trying to do a blind draw for what order they go in is proving a little bit tougher for Jim sometimes when we're taping live. So we want to make things easy here during football. I like that. Well, listen, that can be determined. We have our season previews to get through before we even get to the draft. So we have plenty more time to fight about that, which is what people tune into this podcast for. AFC East. Chris alluded to it. Not a great division. They used to be, right? The vaunted Bill Belichick years and the Patriots, right? The AFC East were the big dogs on the block. The Jets have fallen on hard times, but one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the best teams in the AFC does reside in the East. So, Williams, I'm interested. How do we want to start talking about the AFC East?
Do we want to get the crappy team out of the way first? Do we want to talk about the Jets?
Okay, let's be honest here. Jets. Is there a team in this division that isn't going through some sort of dumpster fire except for the one exception of Josh Allen? And that's the only part of the Bills I'll say is not a dumpster fire, is Josh Allen. I think every other part of this division is a dumpster fire.
There's a sneaky team in this division to me. I wonder if Williams is going to. I don't want to take away from Williams. He's our expert, but there's a sneaky team in this division to me. Jimmy, what do you think?
I will. The quarterback is Justin Fields. Let's go.
How did I know you were going to do that?
He's going to be all in on the Jets again.
Do you know how much money I spent on Justin Fields jerseys over the past 3 years?
I could not have been more wrong last year on the Jets. So.
Yeah, that's true. You were all in on Rodgers and the Jets last year. So, all right, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with the Jets. I think there's interesting things there with the Jets because I think they're not going to be the worst team in the AFC. They're probably the worst team in the AFC East, but I don't think they'll be the worst team in the AFC.
And man, boy, the schedule makers, they started out with a bang at home, week 1 versus Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. So if you're ever going to get your popcorn ready for a Jets game, it might be week 1, guys. So the NFL schedule makers adjusted from last season. They went from 6 Jets primetime games. See, even they thought the Jets were going to be decent last year, down to only 3 primetime games in 2025. You might be thinking 3. That's too many.
It is. It definitely is.
But
I bet the Colts didn't get that many.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. Maybe next week. But next week we'll do AFC South. But the Jets, they have a new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. That's a name that nobody knows, including me. But what's interesting here is that he comes over from Detroit. So the Lions chose not to keep him and promote him to OC because we all know who the OC from Detroit was last year and where he went to. So with that being said, how much faith do the Jets fans have in their new OC? Bottom 5 projected pace for the Jets, 19th O-line, 26th in weather if you're taking all the environmental rankings into effect here. I don't know. I don't really have much on the Jets here. I don't want to waste your guys' time. Well, I think we all think the Jets are probably going to finish last in this division.
Well, let me put it this way. I mean, there's a low bar to clear here. I mean, we fired a coach midseason last year. You know what I mean? We had Aaron Rodgers, who I think people think was worse than he actually was. Like, he wasn't great. He's not the Aaron Rodgers of MVP form, but like, he's not. There's plenty of quarterbacks starting in the NFL that are way worse than Aaron Rodgers. So, like, do we think there's going to be improvement for the Jets? Can we at least frame it that way, Williams? Do you think they've got a little more of a foundation with Aaron Glenn coming in?
I mean, it's everything is so new, and the expectations are going to be extremely low. So maybe you got something there, but I don't see it, man. I think the Bills are still obviously the class of this division. I think the Patriots got a little bit better. The Dolphins may have gotten a little bit worse, but they still might be better than the Jets. So, and I just don't trust Justin Fields in a real life football situation. Fantasy, he's fine, but I just don't trust him. And week 1 is going to be interesting because I don't know if you guys heard that the exit interview with Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers did not go over well, and Aaron Glenn was like it got a little heated between those two, and it didn't really sound like Aaron Rodgers started it. So that'll be interesting to see in week 1.
So you're telling me Aaron had no problem airing somebody out publicly? I'm absolutely surprised to hear that Aaron Rodgers decided to go on a public forum and air somebody out. He never does anything of the sort. Chris, I know you're no Jets fan. Are you reveling in this? Like, what do you see out of the Jets this year?
I see a team tanking, which makes them even a bigger dumpster fire in my eyes. I feel like they're just in the Archie Manning sweepstakes, right? So they're just throwing in the towel. I don't see them trying to win this year, unfortunately. And it makes me – you guys know how I feel about tanking. I hate it. So relegate the Jets. That's what I'm calling for. Relegate the Jets.
Relegate the Jets.
Jimmy, let's go out on a positive note. I know you're excited about Justin Fields. I know you're a little tongue-in-cheek with your Justin Fields exuberance at times, but I know you also do pull for the guy. What do you think you're going to see out of him?
I think you're going to actually see him get a chance to be the starter for the majority of the season, just because, who else do they have? You're going to see a lot of excitement. You're going to see a lot of fumbles, unfortunately, as well. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the division. I have them 3rd in the division, and I think they're not going to have a good season by any stretch of the imagination. I've got them in that 6-11 range.
All right, Williams, did you project a record? Is that how you do your things?
I have not yet because I wanted to make this more mysterious for the Wins League. But
okay, gotcha.
I'm probably right around.
Oh, my
Jimmy.
Goodness. It doesn't matter. You can tell us everything. You're still going to win. I hate, people in Wins leagues who are cocky. It's just a bad form.
I listened to him last year, drafted the Jets, and look how it turned out.
Yeah, see, there you go, Williams. You could have just
that was my one mole. That was my one mole, Chris, and you fell for it. The Jets. No, I fell for it.
Let's
too.
Go.
That was terrible.
This is going to be interesting here to see, because clearly we're going to talk about the Bills last because they're the class of the AFC, possibly definitely the class of this division. I happen to think a team that I've been averse to most all of my life is actually going to be sneaky and actually has some pretty good pieces on it and actually might have a coach that knows what he's doing in the National Football League. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually excited to hear Williams' take on the New England Patriots.
Yeah, this team, I mean, they get Mike Vrabel. Remember 2 years ago when I said the Patriots should hire Mike Vrabel and the Bears should hire Ben Johnson? It was just 1 year too late. I was 1 year too early on both of those, but both of those probably should have happened a year prior. So that right there could add 2 to 3 wins alone from upgrading there from Jared Mayo. Plus, they added some really good players on defense. Robert Spillane is underrated. Carlton Davis is a big-time cornerback. Harold Landry, when healthy, is a really underrated defensive end. And Milton Williams also on the defense. They add Will Campbell in the draft, the best offensive lineman. They draft Treverion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State, and they get Kyle Williams at wide receiver. So they got a few weapons for Drake May. I know we probably think the offense is still probably a year or two away, but remember, they get Josh McDaniels back at OC. He was a terrible head coach, but he was a pretty quality OC. And so he might be able to make things work a little bit with that offense, but I'm with you, Rod. I think this defense takes a big step up. I think Gonzalez comes back at corner off an injury. I think this defense could be sneaky. I mean, with Vrabel, like I said, you can get an extra 2 or 3 wins. So, yeah, I think this team is going to finish in second in the AFC East.
Yep, I got this team in the playoffs. Honestly, I got this team fighting to be one of the last teams in the playoffs. I think the wild cards are going to be right there. I think the NFC North is going to beat up on itself. The AFC North, is going to beat up on itself. I think the AFC West, in some ways, is going to beat up on itself because I think the Broncos are actually going to be sneaky pretty good this year because they actually have a pretty good defense. And I like both of those second-year quarterbacks, right? Like, sure, we could see a little bit of a drop down like C.J. Stroud had, but C.J. Stroud was still pretty darn good last year for the Texans. They still got to the playoffs, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm excited to see Drake May in a second year. He's got a veteran receiver to throw to now. They're definitely going to be trying to run the football. Running is back in the NFL. I can't believe I'm high on the Patriots. Chris, am I disgusting you down there that I'm high on the New England Patriots after all those years we spent having to hate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick?
I still hate the Patriots. I'm a little bit saddened that you hate the Patriots, but you're not wrong. They're sneaky, and they probably will make the playoffs because they probably have, in my opinion, one of the easier schedules out there, right? They open up, all right, just to give you guys a little gig, all right? Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers. They can easily go probably 3-1 in those games, right? Especially since I'm down on the Dolphins, right? Then you got Bills, Saints, Titans, Browns. Probably lose to the Bills. So right there, they could start out at 6-2 in the first 8 games of the season without any kind of real trouble.
I'm totally with you. I'm not huge on the Dolphins. We're going to get to them next. Jimmy Jam, your take on the Patriots, the boys out there in Massachusetts.
I have them going 5 games more than they had, winning 5 games more than they did last year. I think the quarterback is better. Coach is so much better. I really like the Patriots this year. Now, I think they're going to miss the playoffs, but I think they're going to be over 500.
It just comes down to just not beating yourself so often in the National Football League. You know what I mean? And I completely believe in a guy like Vrabel. He's just going to make the smart calls. You know what I mean? This team is going to be prepared. This team is going to fight hard. And I just don't know how much they did that last year under Mayo. So I'm disgusted that I'm high on the Patriots, but I got to live my truth here on the podcast. And I like what New England's got going. And I don't believe in Miami any longer. I think that thing is so fragile, right? It's kind of like a house of cards. You pull one card out from Miami, and then all of a sudden their offense is completely broken. And I think the bloom is off the rose on old Mikey McDaniel a little bit there, man. I think the NFL has figured him out a little bit, and he doesn't have a changeup to throw. So I'm way low on the Dolphins. Williams, what do you got? You're the expert around here.
Yeah, and just to follow up what Chris said, the Patriots do have the second easiest schedule in all of the NFL. So Chris was on top of that one. We will get to the easiest schedule in the NFL way later on, I think, and it is a complete opposite from last year, from what I talked about. So that's a little tease there. But yeah, Miami, I think can Tua stay healthy is the big thing. They do have like a super condensed target rate. So if you're targeting some players on Dolphins for fantasy purposes, you pretty much know who the ball is going to go to, either Tyreek or Jalen Waddle or Devin Achane. But the 26th O-line ranking by Brandon Thorne is a little concerning if you take one of those guys and for Tua is healthy for his health. The 11th in strength of schedule. But when does the ceiling start to fall off for Tyreek? Did we already see it last year, or was the wrist injury just an aberration? And he didn't have
real quick
Tua
on that. Is anybody worried about the fact that we heard that maybe he kind of wanted to be traded out of Miami and almost sounded like he thought that last year was going to be his last year in the exit interviews? Like, Jimmy, are we worried a little bit about harmony down there in Miami between coach and star wide receiver? Those guys are never divas.
Oh, not at all. Hey, by the way, real quick from one of our live viewers, Jackson, he says, go Bills, Patriots go 8-9 for the season. So that's interesting there. But
shout out to our guy Jackson.
Shout out to Jackson there. Yeah, I have a lot of concerns about the Dolphins. I actually think they're going to be in fourth place in the division. I don't think they're going to do very well this year at all, unfortunately. And I think Mike McDaniel is probably going to be one of my heels to start the season off.
Oh, look out. Jimmy T's in the face and the heel. One of the great features that we bring to you weekly. That is tradition around here. Jimmy, with his wrestling background, will always give you the face and the heel of the week. We will start that up when games actually start. Chris, your thoughts on the Dolphins. See, Williams said you know about fantasy, but I don't know if you're like me. Every time I've ever had a Dolphin in fantasy, they've disappointed me. So I usually just stay away from those guys. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, unless you were going to take a risk on one of the running backs as like your RB2 or 3, maybe, but you always have to overpay for the receivers, right? And you can't trust Tua because you don't know if he's going to stay healthy. But I think Miami's a dumpster fire. Like I said, I'm using that term way too much, I know, but like they have all kinds of issues from the coach down through.
Was there a problem at the apartment complex this week, Chris, that you want to tell us about? Like, did you actually happen upon a dumpster fire? Is that why we're using that one so much?
You see,
you never know what can happen, but this is not good. I don't think McDaniels is going to succeed in pushing this type of scheme. I think he's going to have too many issues. They don't have a solid defense to me really anymore. Their offense isn't consistent because you don't know who's going to be healthy. So I think it's dumpster fire. I don't think they're as bad as the Jets, but I think they're third in this division.
Williams, Chris might be onto something there with worried about the Dolphins defense, considering they just pulled off a player-for-player trade on defense here, and you don't see that every day in the NFL. And you're our coaching guy around here, Williams. So what do you think about that trade they just made? And am I sniffing up the right tree saying that the blue might be off of Mike McDaniel, or do you still support him?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, shame on those Miami Dolphins players from last year, those defensive players, for saying that Vic Fangio was too tough on them. All Vic Fangio did was lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and by some means, like, Vic Fangio was the MVP of that Super Bowl. So yeah, and then with McDaniel, here's ranks in yards per play. In 2022, the Dolphins were third. In 2023, the Dolphins were second. Last year, they dropped all the way down to 23rd. So does he get a pass for the Tua injury? Or, I mean, Tua threw a league low 6% of his passes down the field last season. That was a decrease of 50% from the prior 2 years. So they have to throw the ball down the field, but yet they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because they have to keep him healthy. So, I mean, if you want to blame somebody, I would blame the Dolphins GM for not getting a quality. If any team needs a quality backup, it's the Miami Dolphins. And they did not do it. They let Mike White go last year to division rival Jets. And I mean, you have to get a quality backup if you want to succeed. If you're the Dolphins with the Tua injury history.
Well, listen, Williams, only one team can get Danny Dimes as their backup quarterback. All right, so you can't blame the Dolphins for that under any circumstances. So you talk about the Dolphins not throwing the ball far down the field very much last year. Let's go to the polar opposite of that, a team whose offense sort of seems to be completely based around, let me just hang out and try to chuck the ball way down the field when we don't run it, those Buffalo Bills. But I think they're going to be good, Williams. This could be their year. What do you think?
Yeah, and what's crazy is that the Bills only play one game outside the Eastern time zone in 2025. They travel the fewest miles out of any team in the league, and all of their toughest games are at home. They get the Ravens at home week 1. They get the Chiefs at home. They get the Eagles at home. They also have the Bucks and Bengals at home. And the Bills went out to L.A. to nab some free agents. They added 5-time Pro Bowler Joey Bosa from the Chargers, pair him up with Greg Rousseau on the other side.
How much do you think he's going to play? How much do you think he's going to play?
That's the question. But if him and Rousseau are healthy, you got a pretty lethal pass rush there. They also got wide receiver Josh Palmer. from the Chargers to add depth to that receiving room. Tre'Davious White is back with the Bills at corner after spending a year with the Rams. They also brought back DB Dane Jackson with some more veteran leadership on D. And they brought in big defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi from the Steelers. So you can tell this team is trying to beef up that D-line to try and get past their AFC nemesis, Kansas City.
Okay, let's not hype that defensive line quite yet.
I'll go ahead.
I was going to say, because both those guys are suspended for the first 6 games, too.
Jimmy, if Chris would have read Larry Ogunjobi off of the page, how do you think he would have pronounced it based on his ego wotum troubles the other day?
I don't think it would have gone well.
Obi Kenobi, maybe?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, yes, correct. That was the joke, and I missed it. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's what we're all here for. Williams drops the football knowledge, and the rest of us jokers just bring entertainment value. That's what we do. Jimmy, what do you think about the Buffalo Bills? Are you high on them like I am? Sounds like Williams is high on them. I'm sure he's got a couple other facts, too.
I'm going to apologize to the entire city of Buffalo and the state of New York.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that is my team. They are one of my teams. I haven't made the actual.
So there you have it. Buffalo fans of the Morgan,
It's not good.
Get on social media right now. Email us. Let's start campaigns. You do not want Jimmy to pick your team if you want good things for the Buffalo Bills. So all you Buffalo wing eating, snow loving Niagara Falls peeps up there that listen to the Morgan podcast, I'm sure there's dozens of you. Write in and say that you do not want Jimmy to pick your team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Buffalo.
Chris, what's your thinking on Buffalo as we head into the year?
I mean, Williams did mention those guys, right? Yeah, they're suspended for 6 games. When they come back, they should improve that defense, right? But you still have the issue where there's not really that much talent for Josh Allen to throw the ball to, all right? So you're still essentially hanging your hat on Josh Allen being Superman. Again, how many years in a row can you really do that as a franchise and expect to continue to have a shot to get to the Super Bowl?
I mean, it's a fair question, but I mean, my only response would be Josh Allen continues to get better. Like every year we sort of ask this question about the Buffalo Bills receivers, and then like every year he just absolutely kills it to the tune of being the MVP last year. You know what I mean? Like in Josh Allen we trust, I guess, would be my answer. Williams, what do you say to Chris's query?
Yeah, I mean, this team will go as far as Josh Allen takes them, and it's a fair criticism that they didn't go out and get the top wide receivers. You're talking about him throwing to Khalil Shakur, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, but his projections are 50 total touchdowns this year for fantasy. So you add in like 10 to 12 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's going to be tough to get. And one last thing, guys, if you're a fan of Narrative Street, and I know Jimmy is, these fans in Buffalo love their football team, right? They love the football tailgating traditions of jumping onto tables. Guys, this is the last year in the stadium for the Bills fans. Will it be an emotional ride to the Super Bowl this season when they possibly host the AFC Championship game for one last game in that stadium?
Wow. You know what's also came up in there? You mentioned Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid crawled so Kyle Pitts could walk. All right. Dalton Kincaid has been disappointing fantasy owners at tight end for many more years than Kyle Pitts has. All right.
I threw him out there just because I knew it would get you, Rod. I knew it would get you.
What's sad is that's the only name that we would recognize from the Bills receiving corps.
That's true. And only because we're mad at him for picking him up last minute thinking he'd get us 7 points and he got us 3.
Everybody has to lower their expectations on the tight end fantasy receiving numbers.
Oh, because here's the other thing about the Bills tight ends. Not only do you get mad at Kincaid, but then you tell yourself, all right, Kincaid sucked, and then you pick up that Knox cat, and then he doesn't do anything either. And you're like, well, one of the two guys has to do something, and neither of them ever do anything. Can you tell that fantasy football makes me angry from time to time, folks, and that I will bring that up as we go along. Williams, so I imagine you have the Bills winning this division. Is that the early way you feel? They're not even going to be challenged here?
Yeah, I think we started off with the softball division of just an easy pick for a division winner here. So You'd have to be super, super contrarian to not go with the Bills here.
All right, I'm going to throw a question out at you that you probably didn't prepare for because you absolutely love when I do this. Other than Josh Allen, who's somebody in the AFC East that you absolutely have to have from a fantasy aspect?
Man, that is tough. How about I'll throw you a curveball here and go with if you miss out on like Denver D, how about the Patriots defense? We talked about the second easiest schedule in the league, and Chris started out how they said that they're going to start out with an easy schedule. You can really get some easy points there with the Patriots defense. I think they're going to cause some turnovers, and that's a sneaky one. Super, super, super late. You may be able to get Jalen Wright. What also Chris was talking about, backup Dolphins running backs. That guy is a super speedster, and HN stayed healthy for most of the year last year. Will he stay healthy again? Who knows? The only question is that Dolphins O-line isn't the greatest, but Mike McDaniel is a pretty good play caller, or he was the first 2 years. Maybe he gets back to that. Jalen Wright is a super deep sleeper in your fantasy drafts this year.
That's why he's our football handicapper, folks. He just gave you Jalen Wright in the New England Patriots defense. Come on, that's good stuff right there. You're not getting that from anybody else. They probably would have just thrown out, told you to get one of the Miami receivers, right? And then moved on. Not Williams. He gave you the good stuff right there. Williams, do you feel like you'd shake the rust off? Are you ready to get back in the full flow here?
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but do you want to do your Indianapolis Colts division next week, AFC South?
No, I don't. I don't want to talk about the Colts yet.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, listen, I'm disappointed. There's a very good chance that our Indianapolis Colts are going to be the worst team in the AFC, and I don't want to do it yet. Shane Steichen could be fired 5 weeks in. It could be a real. Chris used dumpster fire 18 times on this podcast already, so I'm hesitant to say that. But it could be a dumpster fire down there in Indy this year. I am nervous.
But what happens if you're the best of the dumpster fire in that division, though? Because there could be 4 dumpster fires, right?
I think Houston's probably pretty good.
I mean,
I don't know.
And Jacksonville's only a year or so away from making that run in the playoffs, so like they're not what I would consider a horrible franchise yet. But yeah, I think you're just in a denial a little bit right now. You got to have a little bit of hope.
Fine. No, listen, we just had arguments that came up, and I'll just rip the Band-Aid off, and we'll be done with it. Colts next week, AFC South. You guys sold me. Let's go.
They are a super high variance team. So, yes, I agree that it could be really bad for them next year, but their ceiling is way higher than some of the other dumpster fire teams in the NFL.
I just want to see number 5 at quarterback. I want to see him at quarterback. I want to see him play quarterback for 5 weeks in a row, and I want to hear them actually coach him and support him and not just chuck him under the bus the first time he throws an incomplete pass. Because, hello, the guy started less than 45 games as a quarterback. He's going to do that. You knew it when you drafted him. God, see, you got me all fired up.
Yeah, I think we all want to see AR.
Hasn't he started less than 20 games at quarterback?
Well, I meant combined even with college, right? Because he didn't even play that many games in college. Oh, yep. Jimmy, listen,
we can't be worse than Cleveland or the Jets. That's all I'm going to say.
We very well might be, and that's what has me so fired up.
AFC South it is next week.
AFC South next week, then.
Yes, we're definitely doing AFC South.
Or tonight. I don't know. We'll see.
No, we're not doing it tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA if Jimmy chooses. That's how we're going to roll on from now on, folks. I'm going to start the pod. Williams is going to join us. We're going to preview NFL, and then we're going to roll into basketball if there's something pressing that we need to talk about, and definitely wrestling. And Jimmy will handle the second half of the podcast, starting now.
Williams, before you go, Cam Jones out of Marquette. Give us your scouting report for us, the Pacers fans here. Who the hell is this guy?
Bucket getter, man. Bucket getter. He could be super sneaky, and he doesn't have a lot of size, but he can get to the rim better than you think. And so I know Halliburton's out for all next year. Cam Jones is going to surprise in more than a few games next year. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. That little guy can ball.
And that was Williams welcoming us to the fast break, the fastest, probably about 5 minutes in the NBA. We talked about Cam Jones, who is a bucket getter, rookie of the year. I believe Williams has a bet down on that. Why do we care so much about Cam Jones and a bucket getter? Obviously, we lost Tyrese Halliburton, but we also lost Chris. Miles Turner is going to, of all teams, the Milwaukee Bucks. This is Wade Boggs signing with the Yankees, isn't it?
Pretty close, especially with the younger Pacer fans, right? Because us older people, we still hate the Knicks more than anybody, right? So to me, if he would have went to the Knicks, that would have been worse than the Bucks. But the Bucks is a close second right there. But it's all right, Jim. You know why? Because we got the beard.
We got the beard. What, Jay Huff?
Yes.
Great. Hey, Rod, guess what? We got a backup center that played 9 minutes a game and did a really good job.
That beard is glorious, Rod. You know you love it.
Nope. You know what?
I think we're good.
Nope. I'm not going to talk about Jay Huff, and I'm not going to talk about the villain that is the Milwaukee Bucks to the Indiana Pacers fans. I'm going to talk about the true villain of this situation. And Jimmy, I'm going to ask you to hit my intro. But I do believe we should all follow one path in life. And if Kyrie Irving says we should do something, go the other way. Because I got an off-season Rod Damnation to drop for the people right now, okay? We can talk about how insane it is that Milwaukee Bucks want to add $25 million in dead cap to their salary cap for 5 straight years. You can talk about that all you want. You can talk about the fact that Miles Turner maybe isn't as good as the Milwaukee Bucks are hoping him to. You could talk about how Giannis Antetokounmpo still might want to leave the Bucks because Miles Turner isn't exactly the great co-star. Fine. All of that stuff is window dressing for the problem here. Herb Simon, sell the team. Sell the team, Herb. It's over, okay? If you don't want to pay to go into the luxury tax for a guy who's been on the Pacers for 10 years after you made the first finals run in a long time after being in the wilderness, then what are you still in the NBA game for, Herb? Look around the league. Lots of your compatriots have sold their teams for a boatload of money. If you don't want to kick into the luxury tax the year after you made the NBA Finals in an East that is still wide open with a fan base that is absolutely charged after what you just did, and you said, nah, piss on that. I'm not paying in the luxury tax because I'm Herb Simon, and this is Indianapolis, and we're a small market team. Sell the team, Herb. Do Pacers fans a favor and get out of the NBA if that's how you're going to do business. Absolute travesty that the Pacers just let Miles Turner walk out of the door because they didn't want to pay the luxury tax.
Chris, Rod has been consistent with this. He has not watched baseball since the year 2018. So he's been consistent with this. He does not like it when owners go cheap, and they definitely tried to go cheap on Turner.
Yeah, they did. And as a fan of the Pacers, you hate to see one of these guys go, right? It always sucks. We've seen it before. It's unfortunate. Sometimes that's the way you do business. I do understand exactly where Rod's coming from. I thought it wasn't going to be it wasn't like we were going into that huge tier like the Celtics or anything like that they had to essentially dismantle their team to get back underneath it. We weren't just going to go above that first little tier. It wasn't going to be a huge expensive. I guarantee throughout the playoffs last year, we made enough money to just cover that tax and then some. So it wouldn't have been an issue, right? It does suck that you got to essentially wait another year, maybe.
Herb Simon got 3 finals gates. When was the last time he got 3 NBA finals gates to add to his book? When was the last time he got that?
Never. How about that? Never. They never.
What about the watch parties too that were free to go to, but all the concessions and stuff? That
he's
too.
Gonna
How many Halliburton jerseys sold? That's what I mean. It's just sad, dude. It's just sad because here's the other thing about the luxury tax, Chris. I like that you're backing me up, but here's even more argument. The Pacers could have started the year that little bit in the luxury tax. You don't get taxed until the trade deadline or actually at the end of the year. So they could have made some other ancillary move and gotten themselves just under and still had Miles Turner on the team. It's just cheap.
Right. And I just hope, and I'm praying that it's not a precursor to them just giving up this year. I think even without Halliburton, we could still be a playoff team. I thought with Siakam, Nembhard, that core with Turner, that's still good. I think we're weaker now unless we can address the center position a little bit better.
Got Cam Jones, J Huff.
Well,
Benny Math has the green light, baby. That's what's going on with the Pacers next year. Benny Math has the green light. Get 25 shots a game, Benedict.
You think Cam Thomas shot a lot on the team? Just wait.
Let's
think about 2.5 weeks ago. If I would have told you, we essentially traded Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton for Cam Jones and J Huff.
I would have said typical Pacers. Herb Simon sell the team. That's what I would have said. And I really thought that they weren't going to be typical Pacers anymore, and that's why I'm so disappointed.
They literally said, hey, we're going to give you $20 million for 4 years, and no one else can do anything else to you. So there, take it. And what happened? Someone else did something.
I got a quick question for you, Jimmy. Who do you think? Let's pretend everything else was the same as the finals except minus Halliburton. Who do you think the Pacers should be starting in that spot come the start of the season?
I mean, it's going to be Isaiah in place of Halliburton?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it could be anybody. It doesn't really matter. I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble. I think they're going to go a little.
I don't think you can start him though.
TJ can, but I think they just go. They're going to go a little bigger because they went 3 guards a lot. They're not going to go 3 guards now.
How about Jarris Walker? That kid's got some bounce. Put Jarris Walker in every once in a while. Rick Carlisle.
Well,
Pacers aren't going to suck me back in. I'm mad at Herb Simon. The Pacers aren't going to suck me back in.
You got to think Nembhard's probably going to take over the point duties, essentially, and then someone would slide in.
Nembhard, Neesmith are going to be there. Siakam's going to be there. Benny's going to get more playing time.
Doesn't Herb Simon own the Fever?
You got Isaiah Jackson.
Doesn't Herb Simon own the Fever? Am I wrong in assuming that Herb Simon owns the Fever? Isn't that the way that it works? Because I'm sure he's making a boatload of money off of Caitlin Clark jerseys right now, too, and selling out Fever games. Like, what are we doing, Herb? You're just robbing Indianapolis.
No, he does. He owns the Fever. He owns the Fever. Wow. That is even worse. Holy cow, that's even worse, dude.
I mean, I know that Simon Malls.
You're paying Caitlin Clark $80,000 a year.
No, I gotta stop you guys here, though. You got to keep those business separate. I don't care what you say. You may own 2 things, but if you're a smart businessman, what are you talking about? You keep those businesses
that's garbage,
separate.
Dude. People always talk about how Ballmer has so much money that he can burn and go into the tax and whatnot. So if Herb Simon's making money from another business, how's it different than what Ballmer's making?
I'm just saying I would not take revenue from my WNBA franchise that's finally making money for the first time ever to help do something with my NBA. I got to keep those franchises separate financially.
Well, I think what Rod is saying, what we're saying though, Chris, is like overall, how much money do you need after a certain point? Now with the Celtics, with Rod's team, that's $200 million. They say, you know what? I think that's a good idea that they did that for next season. But the amount of goodwill that the Pacers had and lost like that. I mean, think about even the sympathy that they were getting from the Halliburton. The Thunder players were mad and upset and cried that he got hurt. Everyone hated that. And to go from that, you are the number 1 team. Let's go. Everyone wants you to win. To this, it's a wasted opportunity because you wanted to save some money.
Your team already got kicked in the your fans already got kicked in the pants when Halliburton went down in the first quarter, and then you just turned around and kicked him right back in the pants again. I don't understand it.
Well, and I think to move on here, I think that these aprons and things like that always go back to owners are stupid. They don't know what they're doing, and they needed to protect themselves. Like this, the Bradley Beal buyout, the Dame Lillard buyout, we're talking 5 years instead of 2 years. 2 years at 50 or 5 years at 100. I cannot understand the rationale behind this. It's crippling you. 5 years. 5 years, Chris. That's a ton.
Here's another one that's floating around, Jimmy. People are starting to say now that they're not 100% sure Dame was going to pick up his player option because we're hearing all these stories about how he didn't like Milwaukee. So literally, Milwaukee's only going to have to suffer 1 more year while he was hurt. While he was hurt, he wasn't even going to be in the locker room and playing on your team. Insane.
Yeah, I think it's funny that a lot of the podcasts now are talking about this Bradley Beal possible buyout. Oh, he'd be great here. He'd be great there. Who watches basketball? Like, he was on the Suns last year. They just didn't play him because he wasn't that good. You're not getting, Bradley Beal going to the Bucks. Oh my goodness, he's going to be a great 20-point a game. When is that happening?
Well,
every third night.
He's better than Ryan Rollins, and basically right now Ryan Rollins is the starting point guard for the Bucks.
All right, two more quick things, and we'll go to the WWE. Hey, AD got a detached retina operated on, so that seems a little concerning, don't you think? Detached retina for AD.
So there? Anthony Davis wasn't content anymore hurting his ankles and his knees and his elbows and his back. He had to get his eye hurt. Goodness gracious, Anthony Davis just can't stay healthy. I feel sorry for that guy sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And then Chris. Let's talk about Durant real quick. Is Durant finally going to be happy, Chris? Is it going to work in Houston?
I don't think Durant's a guy that's ever going to be truly happy, unfortunately, no matter where he's at. I don't even think him winning a ring in Houston would truly make him happy. I don't think he'll be happy. I don't think he'll ever be happy.
I actually think it's going to work pretty well in Houston. Winning the championship.
That's not what you asked me. You didn't ask me if it was going to work. You asked me if he was going to be happy.
Getting there.
Okay.
So I think he will be happy, and he will be on Houston for more than 2 years. I think so. So that's a win for Kevin Durant. Rod, is he actually going to be happy this time or no?
I'm not sure Kevin Durant is possible to be happy, right? I mean, he kind of was in basketball.
You and Chris are agreeing.
I'm sorry.
We got to end the show.
But he was in basketball utopia in Golden State, and he didn't even like that. Like, okay, I understand that it can be difficult to work with Draymond Green, but you know what else can be difficult? Going to the Brooklyn Nets when the guy you signed up to be teammates with won't be a teammate because he refuses to get a vaccine. You know what I mean? Like, that can be difficult too. And then going to Phoenix and having an owner that knows nothing to do, right? Like, sometimes the grass isn't always greener, right? Kevin Durant just, unfortunately, is just like always searching for that next thing. And I think because he always seems to be searching for that next thing, and quite frankly, he's a little too online. You don't want to be online anymore, people. Nothing good happens online. Look at the comments on Facebook. Look at the comments on Twitter. Like, nothing good happens online. Don't follow the Discord of anything. And Kevin Durant follows it too much and is always looking for the next thing. So, Jimmy, you may be right that basketball-wise, it doesn't go bad for Houston because I think he's actually a pretty good addition for them. But I'm with Chris. I don't know that Kevin Durant can be happy.
Well, what makes me happy is talking to you guys about football and...
Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the How We Know podcast, part of the More You Know's podcasting network. In the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod. We have a huge weekend coming up. Tons of wrestling going on. We have AEW, NXT. We're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about WWE. But I do want to talk about the Players Tribune a little bit because someone on this panel's favorite wrestler, Charlotte Flair, Ashley Fleer, if you will, had a huge article in there, and I just want to get some of your comments on that, Rod. How did you like Charlotte's article in the Players Tribune?
I must admit that I have not read the full article yet. I was only alerted
it's a long one.
A little bit before this pod, so as soon as we leave here, I will be reading because I listen to the Queen's decrees. So this is kind of like a royal proclamation laid down from on high, so I will read it from her and soak up every word. But the one excerpt that I did see is she's not telling lies at all. We wash our hands with the women and we push them off to the side, and then you look over at the men's side and we got all dudes in their late 40s pushing 50, their mid 40s, and they're certainly not getting pushed to the side. They're the top of the card. So Charlotte's on to something there when she says, oh, here I am, a couple of injuries, all of a sudden I'm at 39 years old and it feels like you want to push me to the side because you're bringing up Tiffany Stratton and you're bringing up Roxanne Perez and you're bringing up Julia and you're bringing up, you know what I mean? It's similar to what happens in Hollywood, right? You don't see Julia Roberts and Sandra Bullock and all them for a whole lot of years because they have to kind of go away for a while until they age into getting the older actress roles. it's unfortunate, man. It's rough out there for women in so many different ways, and this is just another one of those reminders.
Chris, have you had a chance to look at that at all?
No, but I don't want to be. I got to bring it up, all right? Because she looks different now than she did a couple years ago, right? Is she perpetuating this myth that you have to keep a certain type of appearance in order to not get pushed to the side? And if so, then like come out and tell us that part of this or that side of the business. Tell us if that's why you did it or not, or because of this, is that why? That's the part that I wanted to get into, because I mean, I can't ignore the fact that she looks different now than when I started watching it again a few years ago.
Sure, she does hit on that in the. I skimmed because it was literally like a 20-minute read probably, but she does talk a little bit about that. But going to the age thing, I think the age thing is interesting because we talk about the women's evolution and the women's revolution. This has a lot to do. Let me start again. The NBA went through a lot of growing pains. WNBA now is going through those same growing pains where people are saying we're playing too much, we're not getting paid enough. So it's kind of mirroring. It's just decades apart. The same thing is happening in wrestling now, where we have men who are older in their 40s, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, John Cena, who are main eventing, but then you have the women who are younger, saying, now you might be past your prime. Here's a couple trivia things for you. Roddy Piper had his retirement match from the WWE in 1987 for two reasons. Number one, he was trying to go to Hollywood, but number two, he was kind of getting a little older. How old, Chris, do you think Roddy Piper was in 1987? And I know this isn't fair because you babysat him, but how old do you think Roddy Piper was in 1987?
38.
38. Rod?
I'm going to go with 34.
He was 33 years old in 1987. Okay. Another big one. Hulk Hogan left in 1994. Vince McMahon said it's time to go. You know, he's too old. People don't care about him. Think about that for a second, okay? How old, Rod, was Hulk Hogan in 1994?
I'm going to go with a little bit older. I'm going to say he was 37.
37. Chris?
I'll go 35.
Okay, he was 41. He was 41 in 1994, okay? So you see, right now, this is where our top stars are, and you don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. Cody's got some years left. Roman, if he wants it, I mean, who knows? Charlotte does bring up a lot of good points, though, where people are prolonging their careers a lot, and they are able to continue to bust the trend. Goldberg is coming back and main eventing something at 60.
Okay, but isn't that kind of due to the fact that now a professional wrestler can actually sustain a lifestyle to help with the injuries and things like that longer into their lives? Back in the 80s when Roddy Piper was doing that, there was way more money making movies like They Live, right? And where he could star in that than there was putting his body on the line 300 nights a year and not make the same amount of money, right? But now you can make those millions of dollars and only be on TV 40 times a year and maybe a house show another 40 times a year, right? So, and it's much easier to sustain that. And then because of the fans, they're going to stick around for those guys longer, right? If you were a Rollins fan as a kid and he's still wrestling, you're still going to love Rollins. I have people I talk to about this podcast, right? Like, wow, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. I used to love Rey Mysterio. You can still watch him, right? So, because...
Well, that's that, yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that has something to do with it as well.
And that's what she's saying. You're actually making her point very, very well for her because people do prolong their careers a lot more. If you think about it, Trish Stratus, who again is going for a championship this weekend, hasn't been around in a while, and she can still she can still go, Rod. Mickie James, who I believe is retired 4 or 5 times, can always still go. I can't believe she's not in the WWE right now. She's in LFG doing some training things. which is WWE, obviously. So we're going to see these women stay around a lot longer if they want.
Yeah, I think this is something that the wrestling world is sort of dealing with, but I think it's something that we're seeing across all sports, right? And let's go to the other sport that we talk an awful lot about, just us three, the NBA, right? I mean, we are seeing right now where we just talked about Kevin Durant. LeBron James made second team All-NBA last year in his 40s. You know what I mean? Steph Curry's still around and doing it, right? Al Horford is still a huge free agent to be signed this offseason. Chris Paul is still playing. Russell Westbrook is still out there, right? We've seen people be smarter about how to take care of your body. We've seen advancements in medical science, right? And training and stretching and all of that stuff, right? So people are going to be able to go until they're longer. And then as Chris was talking about, and you were talking about it in the wrestling business, making your name is then what gets you to the main event. So it's going to skew to where if you've been around for a while, it's going to get you to the top of the main event life because people know who you are. And it's weird that they don't then use the same built-in legacy that these women have. They just shove them to the side, right? But as you said, maybe it's getting different because we're seeing Trish Stratus come back this weekend, right? Charlotte's still involved. Becky's getting brought back and she's at that more advanced age. You know what I mean? So maybe it's shifting a little, Jim.
Well, if they want the women's division to grow, don't you have to bring up more women and make them interesting and keep pushing and pushing? Like that's how you get more people interested. That's how you can bring in more fans. Like you got to still push people that are just getting into it because you're trying to expand the women's division. That's why you're bringing in 2 additional belts and everything else.
Yeah, correct. I think so. And, she said in the article, to sum it up, she said there's no such thing as aging out for men. Now, there was, for sure, for a very long time there was. But now you can always bring someone back as long as they kind of look the part. For women, though, the rules are just different. For women, as depressing as it sounds, I think a lot of people still only know one way to value them as young and disposable. Because you can always bring up somebody else, is what she's saying. I think we're evolving from that. It does take time. And the group that we have, the core, the veterans that we have on that roster, can be here as long as they want. Your Becky Lynch can be there as long as she wants. Charlotte Flair can be there as long as she wants. Bayley can be there as long as she wants too. I think it's a very interesting way to look at it.
Don't forget about Asuka, your girl, a little more advanced, right? Back after an injury.
Yep, Asuka's been around a very, very long time. We have 2 events this weekend. We have Saturday night's main event and the Evolution 2 premium live event. Coincidentally enough, going up against AEW's All In, which is their biggest show of the year. I don't know how that happened at all. I'm getting a little fatigued with all these big things going on. Like WWE, calm down a little bit. You think it's just a little much, Chris?
I mean, don't we end up getting a lull here before SummerSlam kind of, though, too? Like we had...
SummerSlam's in 3 weeks, dude.
It's that quick?
In 3 weeks.
Okay, well,
yes.
Well then, yeah, I used to remember having usually like almost a month and a half, I think, between
this
summer.
Was it.
But like
this month.
They've really didn't packed it up. I think bringing Saturday Night Main Event is probably what's making it a little bit more hectic. But if you're going to give a whole PLE to the women, you gotta let the men wrestle somewhere.
Do you, though? Do you really? Rod?
Yeah, this is kind of, when Saturday night's main event first came back, we all said we love the nostalgic feel, right? We love the idea of still being attached to a network, right? Because that makes us feel a little bit more like a legitimate sport, right? All of your NBA, they're all still played on networks at times, so that's cool. But now, excuse me, we're down to what we feared, right? Where they're just putting together Saturday night's main event and they're scrambling for a card and we're getting matches that sound like they're great, but really, are they great? Like LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. Okay, cool. But you just kind of put that in a microwave and threw it out. You know what I mean? Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. That's another one that like, it seems like it'd be a great match, but so I worry about it a little bit. I understand that they're taking NBC's money and they got to give NBC a product, but I'm with you, Jim. I worry about the advertising. I've brought that up a lot, that we're just getting a little too crazy with all the advertisements in the ring. And I'm worried that we're stretching the product a little thin with too many special, in quotation, events.
Yeah, I think it's just too much for us to understand what's going on. I mean, we just came off of the Night of Champions. We had Money in the Bank. You can't even take a breath here. But Rod, you went over the whole card, by the way, for Saturday night's main event. I think there's only 3 matches right now still. There might be another one coming up.
Man, there's only 3 matches? Good. I guess it is only going to be 2 hours, and we'll have to do the whole, we're talking to Jesse Body at the beginning and all that, but...
Mm-hmm.
And
before we get there, though...
Goldberg's match can't be that long. They're definitely going to have one more. I mean, come on.
Oh, he's going to... No, Gunther said he's going to string it out. This could be like a 45-minute match. Wouldn't that be funny if he just did that? Gunther and Goldberg, let's go to the main event first. There are so many things that could happen here, but don't you think the final thing is just Gunther beats Goldberg, Chris?
I want to see a Goldberg spear, and then I think
You'll see that.
And then I think Gunther chokes out Goldberg.
So no tap out, choke out, pass out, ends his career.
Yep.
Rod?
Give me Goldberg winning and just creating chaos.
Let's go.
Give me Goldberg winning, creating chaos, because, here's why I say that. We've really played up Goldberg's last match, a lot. You know what I mean? A lot. Michael Cole has pointed out a couple of times, you know what I mean? We're really advertising that hard, and I know we're doing that with John Cena's last ride, but we gave him a whole year, right? And so who knows what they're going to be able to cook up for his actual final match. We're really supposed to believe that Goldberg set out all these months and is coming back to absolutely get squashed in Atlanta. I'm not so sure, man. We got a pretty old dude running around with the belt right now. Give me Goldberg winning this and creating some chaos. Why not?
10 years ago, if you say, hey, Goldberg and John Cena are your world champions in 2025, how about that? I would love to see Goldberg win, but I would love to see Goldberg win and then Rollins cash in. I think that would be amazing. I think that would just be, a fantasy booking extraordinary. Oh, it'd be great.
I'm for it. I certainly have no problem with Seth becoming champion.
I think if Goldberg beats Gunther, that's the only thing that can happen after. So I don't think you're going to let Goldberg walk away with the belt on his last match.
So I will tell you this: if that were to happen, where Seth Rollins cashes on Goldberg, if Vince McMahon were in charge, I guarantee you LA Knight would beat Seth Rollins in this matchup.
Yeah.
That being said, there's going to be a lot of interference, and I think Seth Rollins beats LA Knight, Rod.
Oh, absolutely. He's gonna beat LA Knight. LA Knight's gonna look really, really good, and he's gonna get some big crowd pops, and we're gonna be further reminded that LA Knight is a big guy at the top of the card, whether people want to admit it or not, but he's not beating Seth Rollins.
Chris, LA Knight needs this more than Rollins for sure. Yeah. But do you think he's going to be able to get it?
I am 100% behind LA Knight. I'm going to root for him. I'm calling him to win this match, but in reality, it's going to be something dastardly and despicable that Rollins pulls, and Paul Heyman gets some interference going, and victory will be wrenched from LA Knight's grasp at the last minute. But LA Knight will win. That's my official pick.
Randy Orton's had some big losses here recently. Is he going to lose to Drew McIntyre, Chris?
Yep. I'm sorry. I've given up on seeing Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, like I wanted to since he came back, but I've given up. And he's going against Drew. Drew's a madman. He will take care of business. Drew McIntyre.
I think Orton wins this one. I have a feeling he's going to win Saturday night's main event. Get him a big win moving forward. Drew's fine. He can take a loss here. Rod?
Oh, yeah. Drew premiered the Bored at Work t-shirt, which is going to sell like hotcakes for a little while, and that's going to be enough that he needs. And, yeah, Orton's winning this match big time. Give me the RKO. All
right, let's hit Evolution 2 pay-per-view here. I know it's getting a little late for you guys. We have Jade Cargill versus Naomi in a no-holds-barred match. They're going to this a lot quicker than I thought they were going to. No-holds-barred, though, is perfect for this because Jade Cargill still needs to get some more matches underneath her belt, even though she's been around for a while. I think Naomi wins this. Rod, thoughts?
I thought that for sure Jade was going to just wipe the floor with Naomi, and we were going to kind of maybe dispatch with this until they announced that it was a no-holds-barred match. So I'm with you. Naomi will use the Money in the Bank briefcase, pound on Jade, win in a dastardly fashion, and do that Naomi laugh over her body as they cut to commercial on Evolution.
Jade wins this, right? Jade, it's going to be kind of a vicious fight. Naomi's going to fight dirty, and Jade's going to overcome to cement her type of, the building of her legacy as this ultra powerful wrestler. I think if you want Naomi to still be the heel and get even to a bigger heel status, you need her to lose and still have the money in the bank. So you think she's even weaker going into trying to steal the title. And if she steals the title, it looks like she doesn't even deserve it even more and becomes a bigger heel. I think Jade takes Naomi out in this.
The Women's Intercontinental Championship. There will be no negative comments about any promos or any fan reactions about Becky Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I can't wait for this match. I think it's going to be terrific. I think Lyra is going to cost Bayley the match. I think Becky Lynch wins. I think this could be the match of the night. I'm very excited for this, Rod.
Match of the night, huh? I'm with you that there are lots of angles that this match could take that I am excited about. The one that I see playing out the most is that Becky just absolutely steals it, right? Just gets kind of whipped around by Bayley and Lyra at different times in that match, and then just absolutely steals it, gets completely lucky somehow at the end, and then she rolls out of the ring champion, leaving Bayley and Lyra to just start fighting one another.
Chris.
I'm taking Bayley. I think she gets it. I think this belt changes hands again.
Oh, so they're going to hot shot this belt then?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I'm a bigger fan of Bayley right now than I am of the man. So give me Bayley.
I kind of would rather see, I think, Bayley win in a one-on-one matchup, but I can see where you're going with that. I'm trying to see if they have any contestants for the number one contenders battle royal other than Nikki Bella. I hope she doesn't win. There's going to be a number one contenders battle royal. The winner gets a shot at Clash in Paris, which is on August 31st, because we need all of the clashes to continue on. We need to have 35 pay-per-views a year.
Is Bobby Lashley allowed to be in this battle royal? Because we all know that he does very, very well in battle royals.
He's busy that night. That's why they're having this show. He's busy in Texas that night.
All right.
WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair versus the Kabuki Warriors, and I can't remember NXT team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And the NXT team.
They're not winning.
Who is going to come out the champions here? You think your girl gets a championship here, Rod? Alexa and Charlotte?
I do, actually. I do, because of the fact that we are still waiting around for an Alexa storyline. I still feel like we are headed towards the Wyatt Six and Alexa Bliss being wedded. So give me Alexa and Charlotte. I liked how they were kind of like Charlotte was like giving her a little bit of love at the end of that match, right? Like I like it for the Queen. Give me a storyline where the Queen's not being a complete bitch every once in a while, and I'm down for it. So let's go. Give the Queen a tag team belt.
Okay. All right. I like that. I tend to agree with you. I'm a Kabuki Warriors guy, but I think that I want to see Alexa and Charlotte play off each other. I think that would have Charlotte something to do, really specific something to do. Chris.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind this. I love the Alexa Bliss Charlotte team up. I like the chemistry between them. I think it's fun in the ring. I'm 100% behind it. Give them both belts around their waist.
The pat on the head move was just brilliant. I mean, that was just great writing. Whoever decided to come up with that pat on the head move was just a great way to end that match.
So even though Jordynne Grace really isn't in NXT anymore, she's kind of on the main roster. She's got an NXT Women's Championship match against JC Jane. I don't want Jordynne Grace to win this. I want her to be on the main roster and see what she can do. I think she's got a lot of potential. I think she's done a really good job in her previous stint in TNA and NXT. So I think JC Jane wins this one, Rod.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we need to bring Jordynne up, and we need to get her involved with Rhea. We need to get her involved with Jade. We need to get her involved with Raquel. Like, just get her up with the other big players in the women's game. I'm for it.
Chris.
I mean, there is a pattern of main roster people carrying an NXT belt for a while, right? Sure. We've seen Dom do it. We've seen Becky do it, right? I think Jordynne takes the belt.
Okay, Jordan Grace is going to be your NXT Women's Champion. I do like Jordan Grace. I've liked her.
That helps her debut again, right, Jim? Like you said, if they're going to try to push her on the main roster, it makes her look cool if she's wearing the the NXT belt for a little while.
Yeah, that was huge for her in the Rumble. What was it, 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago, and then last year when she came out wearing the belt. I believe 2 years ago it was. I don't know when Naomi's cashing in tonight, but she's going to cash in.
Oh, really?
She's going to cash in. Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus. Tiffany comes away with it, and I think she might cash in on Tiffany and win the women's championship here. So I think Naomi's coming out the champion in this one, Rod.
So you think we're going to dispatch with Naomi's briefcase already, even though like she's really been the one who's played up the briefcase, right? They've showed the little gig on Instagram where she's like, this is what's inside the briefcase. She's got the caution tape all around it. So you think they're going to dispatch with it that quick, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they've done it quick before. I mean, this is the longest I think both have still been in play in a while.
I mean, because I guess we did see Liv cash in.
I think this is what they're going to do.
A couple years ago, Liv cashed in the same night she won it. So you're absolutely right that we've already gone on a little bit longer, right? We had Nikki Cross, I think it was the Raw after she won it where she cashed
Io
in
had
Charlotte.
it for a while last year, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And then we certainly had, Damian.
One of the two, though. One of the two, because the men's then,
See, but that's the thing, Jim. You talked earlier about how, like, so you rather see Naomi cash in
both
here.
of them. Yeah, biscuits. Yeah, you're right.
See?
There's too much stuff going on, Rod. But yeah, why not? Let's go. I don't think that's going to happen.
I like where Jimmy's going, though, because I do see Naomi, especially if what I think happens in the earlier match. If Naomi comes out and trying to kind of redeem herself by cashing in, I think she messes up and gets there before the end of the match when it looks like maybe someone's going to win. And then Jade comes back out with like a kendo stick or something and beats her up even more and keeps her from it. And then that will end up causing probably Tiffany Stratton to keep the belt and beat Trish.
Okay. Rod?
What am I really supposed to think here, Jim, about the fact that we trucked out Trish to fight Tiff at Evolution and we didn't give Tiff somebody else who's like an actual real contender? What am I supposed to think about that?
I think you're supposed to think that Trish Stratus is an icon, probably in many people's eyes, the best women's wrestler of all time, perhaps. And
how dare you? Charlotte Flair exists and you're still saying this?
She has a match in this PLE as well, right? I think Trish is someone that deserves a spot in the first ever all-female PLE.
Well, it's not the first ever. It's
second,
the second.
But that's okay.
Chris is a new fan, as he says.
I am.
That's okay, new fan.
I am. Sorry, I didn't know.
So that's what I think. It's the same thing as Goldberg. It's like, who cares?
No, I mean, I get that, right? If I'm going to give, a huge shrift to Cena and Goldberg and, the guys when they come back and do their thing, then I got to do the same thing for Trish. But, like, I continue to worry about Tiff, I guess, is basically where I'm going with this here, Jim. I continue to worry about Tiff if this is what we do, right? We bring in Nia. We have her beat Nia in a way that I didn't like. I didn't like that, really, frankly. Like, I didn't like how they did Nia there. I wasn't convinced that was enough to take Nia down. And then they bring out Trish Stratus. It just kind of seems like she's ducking somebody. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not there with Tiff. But she's gonna win.
Okay. So Tiffany's gonna win that one. Then we have Io Sky, who, by the way, Rhea Ripley has never beaten in a one-on-one contest ever, versus Rhea Ripley. If nothing happens in the Tiffany match, I think Rhea wins. But I honestly think Io Sky is going to continue to be the champion. I've got Io Sky winning this one, Chris.
I got Io as well.
I really think so, right? I really think Io keeps this. I'm trying to convince me somehow of why Rhea would, because I kind of want Rhea to win, but I've become a fan of Io Sky with the belt, right? I do. I like her as a champion. I like watching her matches. She's very, very talented, right? Let's not get it twisted. If she does some of the most exciting stuff on the
All right. Well, that is your Evolution 2 Premium Live event. Shout out to Great American Bash from NXT. That's another show. And then obviously we have All In from AEW, which I think a lot of things are going to happen at that as well. Huge weekend for wrestling. Really appreciate everyone listening and watching and commenting. Check out our YouTube channel with all these live to tape videos. And we also have our shorts going on. We've got our TikTok. Please feel free, comment, subscribe, like. Let's do something fun here. I won.
The man who can't pronounce the cast members of his own cast, he may have very well won the draft.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know's podcasting network. In the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod.
So are we supposed to worry about Pat McAfee at this point? I mean, you guys love him. I'm not so sure I'm a huge fan. You guys love him, but he hasn't been around for a couple of weeks, but he's still doing his show every day on ESPN. Just saying. I love having Corey back anyway. Shout out Corey Graves.